With last night's record snowfall taking everyone by surprise, the entire area has ground to a halt. And listen carefully, schools are officially closed for a snow day.
Snow day, snow day, snow day!
On a day when anything can happen.
Hey, look out!
Everything will.
Oh no.
But one man can ruin it all.
Snowplowman. He's gotta be stopped. Today.
This February.
Snow, and lots of it, folks.
No school.
I got your standard slush ball and a jelly-filled snow nut.
No rules.
Principal Weaver! Catch!
Whoa. No problem.
You've stolen your last snow day from us!
Chevy Chase. Chris Elliot. Snow Day.
I'm going to ask my friends to give me just a little push. I said a little one!
Rated PG. Coming this February to theaters.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another wintry episode of Do You Even Movie? I'm, of course, your host, Henrique Couto, here with my co-host, Double D, 7 feet or deeper, David Denoyer.
Greetings.
And we have a very special show tonight because we are talking all about a Nickelodeon film.
Yes, we
this
are.
week. One that somehow, I sincerely don't know how, just did not really ever... I never watched it.
I was generally shocked when you told me.
You were generally shocked?
Generally shocked.
Like you were just, in general, you were shocked. You were like at the grocery store and you were like, chickpeas are actually, they're actually also called, wait, Hen's never seen that? That was how it went?
That's exactly how it went.
Okay, as long as, I just want to make sure I understood. I am even more than you are.
Yes.
Of the Nickelodeon generation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Born in 1986, Nickelodeon was really coming into its all right when I was like 7 years old, when I was like right at that age. So like I was watching Rugrats first time it aired, Doug first time it aired, Rocko's Modern Life first time it aired, Ren and Stimpy first time it aired. I was watching Snick when it was new. And it's just, my point is like I considered myself very, very fortunate that I had that experience, because I mean, lots of kids like yourself, you're born a little bit later and you still got 92. A lot out of it, a lot of the tail end. But to me, 92 was when Nick was starting to be great and you were just now born.
Just then get it, And I mean, I think now is also a great time to mention, if you have not seen the Orange Years documentary that is all about...
Which, by the way, Orange Years. Every time anyone's talked to me about it, they're like, have you seen Orange Years? And I'm like, what is Orange Years? It sounds like some kind of like a Middle Eastern documentary. I don't know.
It does.
Yes, the Orange Years.
Yes, the Orange Years.
Of 1870 Ottoman Empire. The Orange Years. But the Orange Years. Yes, it's a documentary, about that era in Nickelodeon. And it was a very experimental time, not only in children's television, but in television in general.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky. I was there. We stole cable.
Yes, you did.
So I was right there for, ready to be a Nickelodeon audience member. And I remember when Nickelodeon did its first film, which was Harriet the Spy, I think we should get to that sometime.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But Harriet the Spy, like, I remember telling you when we were watching this, because this was a first-time watch for me.
Yeah, this was Enrique's first time seeing Snow Day. I was so happy to bring this to you.
And this is a first time on Do You Even Movie that it's a first-time watch for me.
Yes, it is.
But when we were talking about it, I was like, dude, you don't even know how big Harriet the Spy was. And you were like, no, like, people really love it, whatever. I was like, no. I mean, like, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
It was at McDonald's. It was at Toys R Us. It was everywhere. You were like, I wanted a spy kit. I went out and bought a notepad and like was spying on my neighbors, which I feel like the movie's point is like, hey, don't spy on people.
Yeah.
No, every kid became a spy as soon as they saw that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle Trachtenberg is so cool. It was just exactly...
That's such a cute movie.
It's such a great film. So, but with that being said, I couldn't tell you why. Never saw Snow Day. In fact, when we showed the trailer at the start of the show, I remember that commercial again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I remember just not seeing it. And I wasn't old enough. What year is Snow Day?
So Snow Day is 2000 on the nose.
Yeah, so I was not, it wasn't like I was such a cool teenager. Like I was just becoming a teenager.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I do remember being a little on the old side for Harriet the Spy, though.
Yeah.
But when have I ever followed conventions? You know, like
no, that's not you at all.
No, I mean, you know me. I fit in. You know, that's just the way I am. I'm like that guy in Indiana Jones. You know, I just blend.
You just blend right in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I blend. So, but no, for some reason this one never crossed my radar.
I remember, like, this was such a big. I mean, Nickelodeon, of course, was backing this. You know, on cable all
it was backing
the time.
their own movie.
Backing their own movie. Crazy.
Weird.
Right?
Yeah.
Promoting this nonstop. I mean, they're even on, because I have the old Paramount DVD. Even on the DVD, they still have like the old things that I remember, which were the old behind the scenes, like 3-minute clips or whatnot. It's like, here's your deep dive into Snow Day coming out, blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
the behind the scenes featurettes and stuff. Well, and I don't remember exactly when Viacom and Paramount became, when they merged.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a big thing. I mean, the Nickelodeon movies were Paramount movies. Which is I always thought was wild because I was like, but don't they film at Orlando Studios?
Yes.
At Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. And they do.
Yeah.
But no, so all their movies were Paramount. You know, Good Burger, Paramount.
Yep.
I was around for the Good Burger Mania too, which was amazing.
Yeah.
An amazing experience.
Well, you had Harriet the Spy in 96, Good Burger in 97, the Rugrats movie 98, then Snow Day in 2000, and then after that, Rugrats in Paris, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, Clock Stoppers. Oh my God, I forgot about Clock Stoppers.
See, by the time Clock Stoppers happened, I was kind of out of it.
Yeah, because Hey Arnold the movie, and then
I came back
Berries.
for Hey Arnold the movie. I had to see Hey Arnold the movie because
Absolutely.
Hey Arnold is just one of the best cartoons of all
Fantastic.
time.
And it only gets better with age too, honestly.
I mean, I would agree.
Yeah.
I was actually, no joke, trying to explain to a friend of mine the My Win story from the Christmas episode of Hey Arnold, and I had to give up because I couldn't stop crying describing how emotional that Christmas episode was. So there's something very special about the 90s era Nickelodeon and the early 2000s era Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And Snow Day is kind of it's kind of the beginning of the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Of that original Nickelodeon. And I went into it assuming it was going to be pretty bad because you said it was great.
I mean, that's fair.
You were like, bro, one of my favorite movies, bro, like favorite movies. It's so good, bro. So I was like,
I mean, have we discussed Dave picks on Do You Even Movie yet, for that matter?
No. Anytime a film disappoints, it was decided by Dave.
It was a Dave
Even
pick.
if it wasn't, it is.
Oh, my favorite, though, is when I have a good movie and that becomes a hen pick.
Of course it does, because it negates the number one qualifier of being a Dave pick, which is that no one liked it. So that's the way it works. So we sat down, we watched this.
Yeah.
It was your many, many views.
Yes.
It was my first time.
Yep.
And I had a lot of laughs with it. Obviously I'm watching a children's movie and I'm 37 years old.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a freaking creepy crawlers back
right
here.
behind you.
So
yeah.
I'm not exactly your top tier adult. I'm not an S tier adult, as it were.
You also did binge Hey Dude when you got that box set.
Oh God. Well, for the record, I binged Hey Dude because I went to a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
That is, I did forget that.
And that was the only TV series I took. So I was like, well, if the TV's on, it's playing Hey Dude, I guess. It's a little wild and a little strange.
Oh,
so no. So I really enjoyed Snow Day. I actually thought it was super duper fun.
Yeah.
It is so of the kids' movies of that time in
100%.
that there's a lot of stuff that if you think about it too much, it is very questionable.
We'll get into it, I'm sure.
I am sure that we will. So you mentioned it came out in the year 2000.
Yeah, in the year
2000.
2000.
It's a pre-9/11 kids movie.
This is true.
All kids movies were very different after 9/11.
That they were. Much like everything.
I was being facetious,
No,
but,
I know.
But Dave here is getting really dark. Also, you're drinking a lot.
Water.
I'm worrying about you.
It's water.
Sure it is. Should we, I just want to mention, by the way,
Yes.
Your sister just got married.
Yes, she
and
did.
you were shitting your brains out.
I was shitting my brains out. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, it's important that it be immortalized on the show.
God.
Dave ate what I can only assume was gas station sushi.
Oh, God. I mean,
and got very, very ill.
So my sister got married on New Year's. Great reception, great ceremony. A lot of fun was had, minus the fact that I woke up in a very bad situation on that day. To add insult to injury, and I've already told Henrique this, I was staying in a hotel that I will not give the name of, and unfortunately at one point...
Why? Because you have something bad to say about them?
I just don't even want to... It's fine. I was staying in a hotel, a nice hotel, and unfortunately I was all dressed up in my tux. I was meeting in the groom's suite for pictures because we were going to get pictures with the photographer, and I was in there for about 5 minutes, and I started feeling queasy. Long story short, I did not make it back to my hotel room in time, or inside my hotel room, I should say, and I ended up puking in the hallway. So that was a first.
And they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're a venue that hosts weddings. This has never happened here.
Especially on New Year's." What? But yeah, no, that was not fun. But I'm doing better now.
I know, because you were texting me for moral support.
God.
You were literally just texting me like, "Bro, I am like puking and shitting a lot," and I was like, "Hey. It's okay.
It's okay.
Have some beer cheese soup."
Oh, God, beer cheese soup. For those not aware...
everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody. There was a period about 3. Actually, Rob, I think it was pre-COVID, so 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years. Actually, no, it was 5 because I just texted you recently about it because the anniversary came up.
Because that's the kind of things we keep track of.
Yes, this is what we keep track of. We Henrique and I were doing a marathon, and we ordered from a place called Euro Palace, and
see, and now you name the place that you're actually going to defame.
You can bleep it. I don't even. Are they still around?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, everybody died that ate there apparently.
So we unfortunately got some vicious food poisoning.
Allegedly.
You got worse than I did, but the next day I decided that it was a great idea.
You stepped it up.
I stepped it up and thought it was a great idea. Meeting with my family at a place that served beer cheese soup and brats.
I like that you name the place that makes
Park.
you sick.
Carillon Park.
I'm just like, you're not like the place that was great. You're like, and I went to this place that was really good. Never mentions the name, but then you're like,
we went to Carillon Park, which has amazing bratwurst, amazing beverages, amazing everything.
And when you think, dear listeners,
yes,
when you think of what settles an upset tummy, because I remember talking to you the day after we'd both been very sick.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, I ate, crackers all that night, and then I ate crackers and whatever today, and then today I finally fell up to it, so I had some like wonton soup from a Chinese place, and you're like, oh yeah, I totally understand. All I had was some bratwurst and some beer cheese soup. Why? Why would you think that was a good idea?
It didn't go well, surprisingly too.
Yeah. You were like, oh, bro, I don't know why, but I feel a lot worse. And I was like, well, what did you eat? And you're like, not much, just some bratwurst and beer cheese soup. And I was like, dude, you're not supposed to feel well after eating bratwurst and beer cheese soup. Anytime you do it.
On top of food poisoning.
Well, no, even without food poisoning.
Yeah, no, I know.
You definitely aren't supposed to hork that down and then sit down at the end of the night and think, all choices perfect.
Beer cheese soup.
Beer cheese soup.
Here we go.
So that story shared forever,
and now it's in there. So getting back to Snow Day.
What's that now?
So 2000, 1 hour and 29 minutes. This wonderful film directed by Chris Koch. He was a director of The Adventures of Pete and Pete in 1992.
I thought I recognized the name.
Cousin Skeeter 98. Kablam in 98.
Cousin Skeeter, so underrated.
I love Cousin Skeeter. Malcolm in the Middle 2000, A Guy Thing 2003, Scrubs 03, My Name is Earl, Better Off Ted, Cougar Town, Modern Family, Workaholics, Last Man on Earth, Young Sheldon, This Is Us, and Only Murders in the Building. He's actually working on right now too.
So this was his only feature then?
This was his only feature, yes.
Wonder why. No, I mean, I actually wonder why. I don't know anything about this movie.
No, but I mean, he was a staple on Nickelodeon. I mean, with those titles alone, and this movie was like Henrik said, his only directorial that we have for a feature, but. His resume, I mean, that's a very impressive resume.
It's extremely extensive. Yeah. Extremely extensive.
Writer on this film, there are two of them. You had Chris Viscardi, who was also a writer on The Adventures of Pete and Pete in 92. He did the Henry and June show, early Kablam in 99, then did Kablam in 96, Kablam in 98. He did the show Ed in 01, Naked Brothers Band, another Nickelodeon show in 07.
Man, I remember that vaguely.
Alvin and the Chipmunks movie in 07. And then our second writer is Will McRobb, who did Ren and Stimpy in 91.
Will McRobb's name was all over Nickelodeon in the 90s.
Nickelodeon, yeah. Ren and Stimpy 91, Rugrats 92, Doug, Adventures of Pete and Pete, Rocko's Modern Life, Liquid Television, Kablam, Naked Brothers Band, Tale of Despero, Bravest Warriors, Harriet the Spy, which is a 2021 cartoon now, by the way.
I'm not surprised they're doing more with it. Well, it was a book.
Yeah, it was a book, originally. But the reason I bring up those gentlemen, not just the fact they're associated with the film, this was originally supposed to be an Adventures of Pete and Pete film.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
I could absolutely, because there's an older brother and a little sister dynamic.
Yep.
That totally makes sense.
Totally tracks.
Yeah. And then they were like, we got Chris Elliot. What do we need the name recognition
Exactly.
for? We got Chevy Chase.
We've got names in this movie, which we'll get to. Finishing off our creators, though, we have the cinematographer, Robbie Greenberg, which... Prepare yourself, because this is one that I was very excited to talk about.
Okay.
So he does Bizarre Devices in 73, Lucifer's Woman in 74, Young Blood 78, and then in 1981, he shoots a little film called Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. Well, yeah.
I mean, that's we often like to bring up on the show that if you wanna see something you're not expecting, look up cinematographers on IMDb or what have you.
Yeah.
Because every movie, as I've said before, every movie needs a camera and every movie needs a guy using the camera.
Yeah.
So and it's a guy only. Okay?
It gets better.
But you need somebody running the camera.
Yeah.
So you'll find like a lot of people will do like exploitation movies or adult movies or ridiculous kids movies or whatever to get their foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then one day it's like, oh, and then also Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah.
And then this and that. So what else you got for me?
So then we go into Swamp Thing in 1982, Wes Craven's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Time Walker 82, Dr. Dracula 83, This Girl for Hire 83.
Man, Dr. Dracula.
Yeah. Winter of Our Discontent 83, My Mother's Secret Life 84, Sweet Dreams 85, Far North 85, All I Want for Christmas 91, Free Willy 1993.
All I Want for Christmas, the Arnold movie?
No, that's Jingle All the Way.
No. Arnold directed.
Arnold. Yeah.
He
no.
directed a Christmas movie with Tony Curtis.
Yeah, no, it's not that one. This one's. I don't think it is. Let me double check.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No,
but
you're fine.
No, Arnold directed one feature film.
You're right. I totally forgot about that.
And it was with Tony Curtis because. So this is why he originally was resistant to Jamie Lee Curtis being his love interest in True Lies.
Yeah.
It was because he said that whenever he looked at her, all he could see was Tony's daughter because he was good buddies with Tony Curtis.
Let's see.
So are you sure that's not the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
It very well could be. Let's find out.
You're scrolling to the completely
Robert
wrong.
Lieberman.
Okay, I don't know this movie then.
Nope, no, it's not.
Well, then never mind. You all learned something.
Free Willy, 1993.
Okay.
Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, 95.
Finally, a real film.
Fools Rush In, 97. R.I.P. Matthew Perry. If These Walls Could Talk, 2000. Save the Last Dance, 2001. A Guy Thing, 2003. Marcy X, 03. Does Prison Break in 05. Santa Claus 3, 06. And Wild Hogs in 07.
Okay.
That's a body of work now.
There are bodies for sure. Jeez.
So, getting into Snow Day, here is the back of the Paramount DVD. It says, an unexpected overnight snowfall has made roads impossible, and that means no school, no rules, Snow Day. For 15-year-old Hal, it's a chance to win the heart of a popular girl, Claire, or totally embarrass himself. For 10-year-old Natalie, it's a chance to create something even more than a snow day, a second snow day. But to do that, she must stop Snowplowman, the town's relentless road-clearing fiend. Better watch out, Snowplowman, because anything can happen on a snow day. In this hilarious comedy, just about everything does.
How did they describe Snowplowman again? How was that? What was that saying?
The town's relentless road-clearing fiend.
AKA working class man trying to earn a living honestly.
Yes.
But he has poor dental hygiene.
Yes,
so
he does.
Fuck him.
My synopsis: an unexpected snowfall leaves an upstate New York town covered, closing the schools and sending the kids into a frenzy to stop the evil Snowplowman from sending them back to school tomorrow with any means or snowballs necessary.
You tried to make it cute at the end there. You failed.
I failed. It's fine.
It's fine. No, it's not okay. I think we're going to have to talk to your parents. Luckily, I have my phone hooked into the... They're going to call them right now.
So, the cast of Snow Day, it's a long list, but we're going to go with three mains on this. First off, we have Chevy Chase, who plays Tom Branson. He is the father of the film. I forget about his career, about how on fire he was in the late 80s into the 90s. And then when I read
during
this,
the height of
his career. So Lemmings in 73, SNL in 75. Foul Play 78, Oh Heavenly Dog 1980, Caddyshack 1980, Seems Like Old Times 1980, Under the Rainbow 81, National Lampoon's Vacation 83, Fletch 85, European Vacation 85, Follow That Bird 85, Spies Like Us 85, Three Amigos 86, Funny Farm 88, Fletch Lives, Christmas Vacation, LA Story, Nothing But Trouble, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, Cops and Robertsons, and that's when we start the decline.
Yes, and for those who don't know, Chevy Chase, notoriously hard to work with.
Notoriously hard to work with.
So, notoriously difficult, notoriously unpleasant.
Yeah.
That is just the man.
He is the man, yes. The man that is notoriously hard to work with, but still very funny.
He is funny.
Very funny.
I mean, even in the last Movie Star, he was funny.
Oh, God, he was so good in the last Movie Star. So then we have Mark Webber, who plays Hal Branson. He is Chevy's son in this. He was in Drive Me Crazy in 1999, Animal Factory 2000, Boiler Room 2000, Storytelling in 01, Winter Solstice, Broken Flowers, Green Room 2015.
He was in Green Room?
He is the guy that's the lover of the chick that gets killed. The guy that goes back into the club to try and save everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, because, I mean, Green Room, phenomenal film.
Not phenomenal film. And then Snowplowman, played by Chris Elliot. Manhunter, 1986, because remember, we saw him in the interrogation room in that one part.
Of course we did.
Late Night with Letterman in 83.
What, he had something to do with Letterman?
Crazy, right? For those who don't know, he was very involved.
Have you ever watched the episode of Letterman when he comes on after Cabin Boy? Was it Cabin Boy? Yeah.
Was that the one that? Yeah, that's the one that tanked him, right?
Yeah. Well, it was his first movie.
Yeah, it was his first feature.
When he came back on to talk to Letterman after its flop, and Letterman just really let him have it. I mean, I don't think Letterman hated him for going out and trying, but Letterman definitely did not let him get away with it.
No, he did not. So he had the TV show Get a Life in 1990. He was in Groundhog's Day, of course, in 93. CB4 93. Cabin Boy was 94. Adventures of Pete and Pete in 94. Barefoot Executive Remake 95. Kingpin, There's Something About Mary, Nutty Professor 2. The Weber Show, Scary Movie 2. Osmosis Jones, King of the Hill. Dance Flick, The Dictator, Community, Nurse Jackie, and of course he's rolling on Schitt's Creek, which started 2015.
Well, and to give him a little due, I mean, I like to pick on Chris Elliott mainly because there was this era in the 90s, which I was only barely there for, but there was this era in the 90s where it seemed like everybody thought Chris Elliott was going to be like the salvation of comedy, the new comedy leading man. And in hindsight, that's pretty silly. I mean, that seems pretty silly to think that Chris Elliott is going to be like, he's going to be Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Now, when you look back, you're like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one. But he has built an incredible career for himself of being a character actor, a comedic, friend character. He's kind of famous for being the weirdo in Scary Movie with the weird hand and stuff.
My strong hand.
So I give my hats off to Chris Elliott. He's incredibly funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, he became like the butt of a joke, of every joke in Hollywood for like a good 3 years.
Yeah. And so the first time that I saw this movie, because we know your first time because it was just a little bit ago.
It was, I would say about 40 minutes ago.
I saw this opening night. My mom took me, Erica, and a couple of our neighbor friends to the theater. It was Movies 5, our old theater that is no longer with us.
When did it release? What time of year?
It was February, I want to say.
Oh, wow. During the snow, a.k.a. when nobody...
February 11th.
Wow.
Yeah, February 11th, 2000.
They must have done that because they thought that like winter would make people want to go see it. But that's not a time when a lot of people, I mean, February's better than January, but
So for the record, anyway, so we went to see it at Movies 5. I absolutely loved this movie. Of course, I was 8 years old, but like had a blast with it. And when we eventually got our own VHS copy, it became a tradition that Erica and I would watch this every time we got a snow day for the most part. Like there was at least one time a year when we got a snow day that we would watch this.
That's adorable.
It was a staple around our house. My parents loved it, we loved it, and I've still watched to this day. Even when we got a giant snowstorm about 6 years ago, I introduced 2 friends to it who had never seen it.
Wow.
Yeah, I showed this
movie to a lot of people. And yet never me.
Till today. That's been made up now.
I have so many vivid memories of praying for snow days. Of just sitting watching the news. Watching the little thingy on the bottom of the news and just going like, oh God, come on, West Carrollton, come on, West Carrollton. And then it would be like, and it's everyone but West Carrollton. We hope you all die on the way.
God. So did you get snow days like ever?
All the time.
All the time? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I was joking.
I figured.
No, we not only got snow days, but when they had mentioned like the 2 snow days in a row, that happened at least once or twice that we got 2 full snow days.
We had an entire week. We basically went to school for half a day on Monday, and then from Monday until Friday, we were completely closed and didn't go back until the next Monday because it was, I want to say 2011. You might remember this when we got that giant ice storm.
No, I remember the ice storm.
The ice storm. Future episode, maybe?
Wait, in 2011, the ice storm in 2011.
It's either 2010 or 2011. We got a giant ice storm that literally closed us down for a week.
I keep forgetting you're a fucking fetus. So, of course you were still in school getting snow days in 2011.
I was in high school. It was my senior year. That's why I remember it.
Uh-huh. Wow. Pathetic.
I also remember I was like sitting on the living room floor with mom and dad watching The Cotton Club, which is one of my favorite gangster movies. You ever seen The Cotton Club?
No.
It's so good.
So, anyway, first of all, I mean, not to brag.
Yeah.
But I had some pretty fucking good snow days in my junior and senior year of high school.
What'd you do?
I dropped out of school.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So, I had like 190 snow days
in a row.
Straight through. And it was awesome.
Do you have like a distinct snow day memory of like one of the best?
I didn't have friends growing up. I mean, so no, I mean, for me, there were no ultimate snow days. I never lived in a neighborhood with like a lot of kids.
Yeah.
There was one snow that sticks out in my mind because it was just such a torrential amount of snow. It was the first year, I was probably 11 or 12, that we had enough snow in my backyard that we dug an igloo. Oh, wow. Me and like a neighbor kid.
Yeah.
We dug in and then like hollowed it out to make an igloo.
Yeah.
And I remember that being really cool, but then getting sad because every day the igloo was
just keep getting smaller and smaller.
And you just keep digging it to make it bigger. And then eventually you're like, screw it, let's all jump on it.
And cave it in. There was, like, we basically had a rule for snow days. It depended on how much snow we got, but before we could do anything like super fun, whether it was sledding or playing Super Nintendo, myself or Erica and I both had to go shovel the driveway.
Ha.
That was the rule, but usually got that done pretty quickly. But snow days for me were always an absolute blast, and we had a major sled hill. You've seen it in front of my parents' house. That hill, we used to sled down that son of a bitch all the time.
Yeah, I never went sledding or anything like that really as a kid.
Oh my God, I need to take you sledding.
Well, I live in a very flat state.
Yeah.
I mean, you live in the same state, but you guys have, I guess you bought a hill in like 1816 or something.
I could take you sledding on the levee. We the next time we get a snow day, you should come to Troy and I'll take you to.
You say stuff all the time.
We're going skiing.
You're
Don't
already
worry.
Threatening me with skiing.
You
just want
skiing.
me to get all sunny bonoed.
So going back to your comment about this getting dumped, what do you think this movie costs?
Oh goodness. Okay. I mean, I like this game.
Yeah.
But it's stressful because it's like, okay, so it's 2000. Mm-hmm. But it's a Nickelodeon movie, and Nickelodeon's hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking like 25 mil.
$13 million budget.
Oh, that's actually very manageable.
You want to know what the box office brought in?
Not great.
$62.5 million.
It was a hit.
It was a huge hit.
It was a huge hit. Well, good.
Yeah.
Gosh, you made me think it was going to be a bomb.
No, it was not a bomb at all. Filmed in Alberta, Canada. They set the movie in Syracuse, New York, which we'll get to again because there's a lot of jokes we can make.
Well, having been to Syracuse,
yes.
I can make some jokes.
Yes. But yeah, no, the film was originally planned as a Adventures of Pete and Pete movie. It got held up for several years and eventually found its way back to Chris Koch, who decided to go ahead and do it in 2000. Nickelodeon put a bunch of money into it. They ran campaigns.
I mean, a decent amount. I honestly really did think it was more expensive, though.
Yeah. But no, $13 million brought in $62.5 million, and this movie is the ideal kid power movie, and I think that's probably what I loved about it back
by
then.
ideal, you mean most irresponsible? Most irresponsible kid power movie? There's a lot in this film that if it literally happened, would be not only felonious, but very scary for everyone involved.
So let's get into it. So Snow Day opens with a voiceover as we meet Hal Branson, who's played by Mark Webber, and he is basically explaining how snow forms and leads into a snow day. We see Natalie, his sister, come out of the house, who is played by Xena, what's her last name?
Warrior Princess.
Xena Gray, and she catches a snowflake on her tongue, and that's how we open up with Snow Day. We then meet Tom Branston, who's played by Chevy Chase, and he is in a hula skirt giving the weather as he is one of the local weathermen in the town, giving a forecast.
They're pushing him to be the wacky
weatherman, yes. So he's in a hula skirt talking about how it's going to be heat, and it's going to be a heat wave. There's going to be plenty of sun, nothing to worry about. And then we meet Tina, his manager, who is played by Pam Grier, and that's when she tells him that they're number 2 in the ratings, and that in order for him to wear pants again, he's going to have to step up his game.
Which that does become the running gag, is that she says, like, if you want your pants back, you're going to have to get more ratings.
So then we meet Chad Simmons, who is the competition to Tom, and he is the guy that everybody loves, and of course Tom hates him. And we'll get more into him as we go into the movie. We meet Principal Weaver, who is outside in a nice sunny day grilling a steak, and he suddenly gets pelted with a snowball. He's looking around, and he's like, is that the best you got? And then he holds up a radio playing a song, Heat Wave, and we cut to Natalie and Chet and Wayne. Chet is played by, it's Josh.
Oh, man, here we go again with this guy.
Would you stop? Chet's played by Jade Scott Yorker. He didn't have much of a career after this. And then Josh Peck plays Wayne, who are the two friends of Natalie. And she's telling them that it's going to snow. She's going to make it happen, that they've got to have faith and it's going to snow.
Josh Peck of Drake and Josh fame, for people who aren't like super into Nickelodeon. He became super famous as a kid star. And
has a podcast now too.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, we fucking do. So
this is true.
Dave just realized we have a podcast.
We have a podcast.
Gosh.
Spoiler alert.
There you go. But no. So some people who are about to become pretty big on Nickelodeon.
No, absolutely.
And I want to mention, I mean, the way that this is set up is that we're sitting here in Syracuse, New York.
Yes.
For those who are not aware, upstate New York is known for its extreme winters. And as a young man who spent many Decembers in New Hampshire, which is even more extreme, yes, the winters are they are legit out there.
Yeah.
In Ohio, where you and I both reside currently,
yes,
we get a mix.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have a mild winter. Sometimes we're like, holy crap, I can't believe how much snow we're getting, how much ice we're getting, how cold it's getting. I was just looking at last year, around this time that we're recording this, and there was that giant power outage during that huge winter storm that was like that, but it brought temperatures down to like -3.
Yeah.
And then knocked out power.
Because
I remember my house got down to 42 degrees before the power came back on.
Yeah, I was worried about you.
Yeah, well, and I was too, because I had 2 weeks earlier, I had bought a new furnace.
You bought the new furnace.
And I paid out the ass, and I was like, the only problem with having a new furnace is if you have no electricity, it doesn't really do a very good job.
It does not. No, it does not.
But no, so that's extra special, is that snow days are a big deal in this community.
Yeah.
In this world of sorts that they're building.
Yeah.
But every shot, I would not be surprised if they literally filmed it in the dead of summer.
Yeah.
Because it looks like summer.
They filmed it in spring.
In the spring, yeah. Because it doesn't look at all like winter. There's no dreariness. There's blue skies. But it looks like Canada because you could just like hear people playing hockey in the background of the soundtrack or something.
Oh, the soundtrack. We'll get to the soundtrack too.
Oh boy, here we go.
So we then meet Hal, who is Natalie's older brother, the one that gave the voiceover at the beginning, played by Mark Webber. He is at the pool with his friends Lane and Bill, and they're watching, he's watching Claire Bonner, who is played by Emmanuel Shakiri, and he has a crush on her. He wants her, and he is just talking to his friends about how he's going to get the courage to go up and talk to her, but they tell him that he doesn't exist to her. Like that is not going to happen. He makes a fool of himself and falls into the pool right in front of her, and she is doing she's doing dives off the high dive, and he sinks to the bottom of the pool with one of your favorite lines where he basically states, "My original plan was to sink to the bottom and drown, but fate had other choices for me."
Yeah, he's like, my original plan was to sink to the bottom of the pool and drown, but fate had other plans. And I was like, man, who wrote this? Me? He finds her anklet.
Her ankle bracelet.
She wears this very obvious anklet that's a
blue whale.
An anklet is a bracelet for your ankle, and it has a blue whale gem on it. Charm.
Yes,
that's the word.
charm.
And yeah, I pulled a Dave. I used the wrong word.
Yeah, you did.
But so he snatches it up, and you would assume any sane person would then, I don't know, give it back to her.
Hey, you dropped this.
But it's going elsewhere.
It's going elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's going elsewhere. We're gonna go ahead and just say right now that Hal might be a little bit of a creep in this at times.
Well, he's definitely madly in love.
Madly in love. So he takes the bracelet, and we see them sitting outside as Claire's waiting for a ride. Suddenly, we see Chuck pull up, and that's her ex-boyfriend because they just broke up. He's trying to get her in the car, and she tells him that they broke up and that she needs some time, which gives Hal hope, so he takes the bracelet home with him.
Because that's what I guess makes sense.
That's what you do. So we then see Natalie sneak into Hal's room. She opens up a glass case that has 5 action figures in it and takes them out, and she's playing with them on the porch. Hal returns, and he scolds her for taking them out because they're going to be collector's items, and he's going to sell them someday, and she tells him that you can't break up the team, and Hal tells her, don't worry, teams split up all the time. That's just the way it is.
Ha, take that, younger sibling.
Younger sibling, indeed.
Do you remember the first time that your sister was too cool for you?
God, it was.
I mean, at first, not last, because last would have been at her wedding like a week ago.
So, it was probably when I was about 5 or so. There was one, like, I remember, like, I got kicked out of hanging out with her and her friends, like, was told to, like, leave the room, and even the parents backed it up.
And your mom and dad were like, son, you are very lame. Stop annoying your sister. Like, this walked up, your dad was like, hey, pal, you're a little fucking Melvin. Why don't you go play with your stupid NES or something, all right? Hey. How'd that feel?
I think I went to play with my Fisher-Price castle set in my bedroom after that. So, yeah, I was a little fucking Melvin.
Fisher-Price! So wow, that's young. So, because how much older is your sister than you?
3 years. So she's
3
years older than me.
Wow. See, my sister was a loser though.
Yeah.
So like my sister's 9 years older than me. And I feel like it wasn't until I was like 9 that she was like, go away.
No, I distinctly remember being I wouldn't say exiled, but I remember there was a point to where that we
it was exiled.
It was exiled. There was a point where we definitely started to separate from hanging out as much, but we were still very close growing up.
It doesn't sound it. It sounds like you've got some serious sour grapes.
I don't know, maybe.
And this is a safe place to discuss it.
Oh, is it?
Just you and me.
Just me and all the listeners with you.
But no. Go play with your Fisher-Price, you punk ass. Get out of here, kid. You bother me.
You're making my cheeks hurt.
See, luckily, I was a really cool kid. Like, I smoked menthol cigarettes I'm talking about when I was 6.
Yeah.
I smoked menthol cigarettes. I drank malt liquor. I was really into Scorsese, but not in like a dickish way.
Not a dickish way.
Like, I just like appreciated his mise en scene.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a pretty cool kid, you know? And then when I went to school, it was like, yeah, you're so smart. Here's some pain. And then it was like, okay, I guess I'll just suffer through my whole childhood. So anyway.
Oh boy.
What? No, I got beat up all the time.
I know you did. I'm sorry.
Dave, if it makes you feel better, because we didn't meet each other until we were, I was my late 20s, you were early 20s.
Yeah.
If I knew you back then, I would have beat the shit out of you. Because you would have been so much smaller than me.
I kick my own ass still sometimes.
That's something you should talk to with a professional, not here on the show. I am a professional lifestyle
coach, yes.
But that one I'm not touching.
So getting back to Snow Day.
What's Snow Day?
We then meet the Branstons at a nice dinner. So we meet, once again, we see Tom, we see the little brother Randy, Nat, and Hal, and then we meet Laura, who is played by Jean Smart, and she is a workaholic. She apologizes for being late, and that's when Chevy makes a joke at her, and he's like, Randy, call security. So she sits down, she's starting to find out about their day. Randy shows her that he can fit his whole fist in his mouth.
Damn right he can.
And that's when her phone starts ringing, and Chevy offers her $1 if she'll let it ring. So for about 3, 4, 5 seconds, the phone rings, and then she gives the $1 back, rushes off, and that is when Chevy takes the $1 back. We then see Hal is in his room, and we're going back to the creepiness. He's listening to Foreigner with Waiting for a Girl Like You and just holding the anklet up to his face and smelling it, and then he puts it on.
And for the record, kids, as the lifestyle coach of Do You Even movie, if you are madly, like feloniously in love with a woman and you manage to obtain some of her sterling silver or silver jewelry, as this appeared to be silver jewelry.
Yes.
Don't smell it because silver doesn't hold smells.
Huh?
Silver is a very clean metal. It's very antibacterial. So you're not going to get any of that wonderful ankle stank you were hoping for.
Ankle stank.
It's not going to be there. I'm here to be honest with you. I'm not here to placate you. So if you're out there and you know who you are, the anklet doesn't smell like anything.
It does not.
No,
it does not.
No, you're better off just closing your eyes and wrapping it around your neck and well, we'll finish this later.
Okay. So Hal gets busted fantasizing over Claire's bracelet by Nat. He kicks her out of the room, and that's when we see Tom comes into Nat, and she's checking the weather thermometer, and she says the temperature's dropping, and he's like, well, we may be getting something, gets her hopes up a little bit, and gives her a snow globe, but also mentions that Hal is wearing an ankle bracelet, a girl's ankle bracelet.
Yeah, she mentions that, to which my immediate response was, it's an anklet.
It's an anklet.
Thank you.
So Nat tells him about wearing the anklet bracelet, and that's when Tom tells her that, Hal's got a lot of stuff on his mind, girls, and he's like, well, actually, it's mainly probably just girls. That's when they're interrupted by Laura, who shows that Randy has now got his fist stuck in his mouth and needs help getting it out.
Which, I mean, hey, they set that up.
Yes, they do. So Hal leaves. He goes to a diner and meets his friends, and he's trying to talk to Lane and Bill again about how he's going to make his move on Claire. He approaches the table that she's sitting at the diner and isn't noticed at all. All her friends and her ignore him, and that's when he realizes that he's completely invisible, so he leaves. We cut back to Nat, who is fantasizing about a snow day, and she starts to have snow fall in her room.
It's actually kind of a beautiful little sequence.
It is cute.
Where she just kind of closes her eyes and basically manifests snow. So as her eyes are closed, and they did a beautiful job with it.
Yeah.
It really starts to snow in her bedroom.
Yes, it does.
And the flakes are like very convincing and fine, which makes me think that they used like a legitimate snow machine for that scene. No potato flakes, no foam. One of my favorite things, by the way, side note about snow movies. Next time you watch It's a Wonderful Life, the different ways that they created the snow are like, it's wild. Like there are some scenes where if you really pay attention, there's one scene where he's running down the street and he's literally being pummeled with soap foam. Like it is, but it's not like, oh, that snow looks kind of like foam, because we work with a lot of fake snow that uses foam.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like straight up soap foam.
Oh man.
Like it doesn't look like snow. And they use like every kind of fake snow or snow effect they could on that movie.
Yeah. That's like we were watching Ice Harvest a couple weeks ago, and that scene when Cusack falls down the hill, and you can clearly see it's just a sheet with snow over it.
Oh, yeah, that's a common one too. Is you put a big cotton sheet to kind of cover it all up. But no, so that's something that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
But no, so it's a beautiful scene. It's like really thought out. It's really emotional.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. And man, I would friggin' love if this had been a Pete and Pete movie. Although by that point they were so over.
They were over, yeah.
Yeah, they were way over.
So her daydream is interrupted by her mom, who asks her what she's doing, and she says catching snowflakes. She reminds her that tomorrow's a school day as she tucks her in, and she says goodnight to her. We cut back to the weather thermometer as we see the temperature start to drop, and then we see Tom back at work as he's blowing up an inflatable because he's dressed in like pool attire because they're expecting, sunny weather. And that's when he notices that there is a huge snowstorm moving into the valley.
And that's when I pointed out one little girl's wish.
One little girl's wish
leads to dozens of homeless people dying.
Yes,
please,
say that.
Please, God, just one sudden, unpredicted cold snap so that people sleeping in the streets will just freeze solid and die.
Jesus. So Tom breaks the news live on air that snow is coming. They're expecting a large amount of it. We see snowflakes start to fall outside. We cut to the next morning as Natalie's waking up because the snow globe, which she slept with, falls out of bed.
Whoa. I mean, like, they're just friends.
They're just friends.
They shared a bed.
So the snow globe falls out of the bed, rolls to the door, waking her up. She goes to the window and then rushes to the door, opening it. And I shit you not when I say there is at least 3 feet of snow on the ground in front of this door. And she screams, Snow!
And it's another one of those great moments because she goes, snow! And it like pulls away from her and gets like a crane shot. It's really lovely.
It's really cute. So then we see the valley is completely covered in snow, and we see all the kids next are crowded around the radio because kids, back in the day, before you would get alerts on your phone, you had to either watch the TV station or listen to the radio to hear about school closings.
I'm going to be straight up. We never sat around the radio in 1995 or anything. No. This was this was a very old school feeling thing that they were all sitting around the radio.
Yeah.
I love that one of the kids that's listening to the radio literally has a snowball and he's pouring syrup.
Yeah.
Onto the snowball to eat it. He's basically making a snow cone as he's waiting to find out if their schools are closed.
So they go through the announcements and they're like, this is closed, the weekly poker game at my house is canceled, and that's all the closings. And then they're like, oh, one more thing. All schools are closed officially for a snow day. We see Principal Weaver start to cry. We see the mother of some kids start to cry, and all the kids are cheering, getting ready to enjoy their snow day. But that is cut short as we meet Snowplowman, played by Chris Elliot, who rounds the corner as Nat's getting ready to go outside with his rig, Darling Clementine. Chris Elliot with nasty teeth, who is Roger Stubblefield. He has a crow named Trudy.
Literally, the entire villainy of him in this film is simply that his teeth are ugly.
Yes.
And he is old.
Yes.
And he does his job.
Yes.
Which his job is directly related to public safety.
Public safety.
Like, because I remember when they first showed them all going like attack him. It's like, we'll show you getting our parents to work safely. Like, you go to hell. Our parents, if they die, they die.
So the kids run and take shelter as Snowplowman rounds the corner, and Natalie tells Hal that this is the year they're going to enact their revenge. They're going to do the legendary second snow day and stop the Snowplowman.
And I want to point out, as a person who's been to Syracuse a few times, when they were saying when they were like doubting it, they're like, if it even snows, I was like, homie. Like, I know they were making a lot of global warming promises in the 90s.
Yeah.
But Syracuse is getting snow.
They're getting snow.
Look, I could be a weatherman in Syracuse. Hey guys, chance of snow because it's frickin' February. You can't say that on the air. A chance of accumulation of frozen precipitation because it's fucking February.
So Hal decides to tell her that he's not going to be a part of this and he's going to use this snow day as a chance to declare his love to Claire. And Nat tells him that she doesn't need him anyway, that they're going to pull this off without him. Then we see that Laura is trying to leave. She goes into the garage. She puts a troll doll up on her dashboard and she pushes the garage door opener and the garage lifts. And there is snow all the way to the top of the ceiling.
The reveal is so good.
Yeah.
The garage door is just opening, and you see snow, and opening, and opening, and opening, and opening, and it's snow, snow, snow. And then, like, right at the top, you got, like, a half a foot, you can see the sky.
Yes.
I love that. That's such a great reveal.
Knocks the troll doll off the dash. We see Hal apologizing to her, and he's like, there'll be other work days. So now Hal is off to go find Claire. Randy is causing terror in the house using a vacuum on the mother.
Yeah. Like, literally, he's like, bye, honey. The kid just is coming up with the vacuum, like vacuuming your legs. Because I remember my first thought was like, hey, that's what you get. It was just in a closet, where anybody could get it. No, and because I feel like we should just get this out of the way right now. There's a C story, and the C story of this film, because the A story is the snowplow.
Yep.
Well, actually, A story is the love story.
Yeah.
B story is snowplow, but the C story is this mom. Who is always working way too much, just getting wasted on workahol, apparently, is what you... Workahol. I'm one of those people that hates the phrase workaholic, because it doesn't make any sense. Always pounding workahol. But I just want to get it out of the way, because why we won't want to talk about the C story a ton.
Yeah.
But there are these little bits throughout the whole movie where the mom is getting into something else with the little kid, chasing him around. At one point, he just runs out and he's covered in blue paint. I love these. It's unexplained blue paint.
Yeah.
Love that. But what the culmination of that is toward the end, it just shows them making a little snowman, and you realize that she realizes that it's nice to be home.
Yes.
And that her family, is to be cherished, and this day is to be cherished. Just want to throw out real quick, really nice C story.
It's super cute.
Because we're pretty much almost exclusively going to be talking about the A and B story from here on. And I didn't want to derail it by talking about the sea story more.
No worries.
But it's really sweet.
No, it's super
and
cute.
I thought it was a perfect little addition. And to have an overworked mom connects with me because I had an overworked mom. I didn't have a dad around to be overworked. My mom worked all the time. My mom drove in the bad weather to go to work. So it was nice to see an overworked mom take a second and be like, actually, it's kind of nice hanging out with my kid.
Yeah. No, it's a super sweet sea story. So Hal makes his trek out in the snow to find Claire. Principal Weaver goes out to his car, ambushed by snowballs from all the kids that are just targeting him.
Is polite.
I
feel I'm shocked.
They shoot it like a war scene because he dives into the trenches.
No, it's absolutely a war scene. I was just thinking, like, man, if this was my neighborhood, though, there would have been rocks in some of those snowballs.
Oh God.
Oh, we did that.
We did tennis balls. That was like the meanest I think that we did.
That's not even mean.
No.
You can't even shatter a window with a tennis ball.
You can't if you try hard enough.
I mean, well, okay, hold on. Now, in my neighborhood, we would have put the tennis balls out overnight so they'd freeze solid.
Oh, that's a good call.
But it's way easier to just use billiard balls.
Yeah. Jesus.
What? Where'd you grow up?
That would hurt. And kill.
I was going to say, no, it doesn't hurt if you hit them hard enough.
Hard enough, yeah.
No, then it's just a snap of the fingers and then there's no more problem.
So Hal meets up with Lane, who is excited about the snow day as well, and she is telling him that they're going to have the best day. Maybe they'll start an avalanche, and that she wants to do a snow angel, which she demonstrates in front of him, but also says that you can never get the perfect snow angel because there's always going to be the handprint when you get out. He extends his hand to her, pulls her out, and then she has a perfect snow angel in front of her. And that's when he tells her that he's not going to be a part of that, and he's going to go profess his love to Claire.
And that's when you realize that this young woman cannot do a proper sit-up.
No.
Because you could just sit up.
Yeah.
There's no need for handprints if you just put a little bit more time into your calisthenics.
So Lane says that she's going to enjoy watching this end in flames. Nat ventures into Chet and Wayne's snow fort that they've made. You were talking about an igloo earlier. They have made a hell of an igloo.
No, it's beyond an igloo. It is like a tunneled snow fort.
Tunneled snow fort.
And the way it's revealed to us is by following a really long extension cord.
Yeah.
Because they have an old TV set and they're playing Nintendo or Super Nintendo or whatever on it.
And they've got a lava lamp too. And some lights
and
up,
some Christmas lights up in there. So they've got like this whole like under snow bungalow.
Yep. So the fun is cut short as Snowplowman makes another round around the corner. They take cover exiting the fort and they go outside, but they have a little periscope. They look up and see where he's at, and they decide that they're going to hit him with a snowball. So they go through the various snowballs they have. They choose one, and Natalie hits Roger dead in the face with it. The plow drives straight into a car.
Yeah. No, this is like felonious. Felonious is the word of the night for this film.
Yeah. So the plow goes dead. The kids start walking up to the plow to see if everything's, if Snowplowman's dead or anything. And the plow suddenly kicks into action.
Yeah, the way they show it is the snowplow's little light fades out.
Yeah.
And then when they walk up, it fades back on, and then the exhaust starts kicking. And they're all like, ah! But that means that they were hoping for death. They were like, it's over.
It wasn't bad enough that he literally ran into a car.
No, which apparently there were no ramifications.
From.
Emphasis on ram.
Yes, clearly, because next he's going to ram into the snow fort, or try to.
Yeah, he just goes off-road.
Yes.
And just chases them. The best part is when he crushes their snow fort, he's like, ha ha, and all you think is like, ha ha, crushed some kids.
So Principal Weaver, still being assaulted by snow, runs past Hal and Lane as they're making way to Claire's house, which has now been bombarded by a bunch of boys who have found out that Claire is single. So it is, as they call, Claire stock.
Claire stock is hilarious. It is it's what is that movie? Say Anything?
Yeah, Say Anything.
It's like Say Anything times 50.
Yes.
It's just all these dudes with signs and boom boxes. And
my favorite is she opens her blinds and there's a dude hanging on her balcony who jumps off and gets caught by the crowd.
Yeah. No, it's like any good event like that. About a third of them are there because they really wanted to be there. Everybody else just wanted to be a part of the action.
Yep. So so Hal sees that he is not the only one going after Claire, and of course the party's broken up by Chuck, who rides up on his Ski-Doo, scaring everybody off. He tries to persuade Claire to talk to him, and she says that that she doesn't want to talk to him, turning up the TV, revealing that she is watching Hal's dad on TV. She's watching Channel 6.
Yeah, and I want to mention for those who are not used to seriously snowy weather, a Ski-Doo is another word for a snowmobile.
Snowmobile, yes. So revealing that they're watching Tom's broadcast, Hal suddenly gets an idea and he rushes off. Chuck gets invited inside by Claire for a few minutes, and that's when we see Tom is dressed as a snowman at Skelter Hill, or as the kids call it, Suicide Hill.
Yeah, and he says it like, as the local kids like to call it, Suicide Hill. It's like... Yeah, it's because it's steep.
It's very steep.
It's because you might die.
So he gets on a sled and he says he's going to get a little push from his friends. They push him, and in natural Chevy fashion, it doesn't go well as he goes ramping down the hill off a ramp, and the cameraman chases after him, leaving the camera completely stable on the tripod. Hal runs up and confesses his love to Claire, says that it's a snow day, anything can happen. He confesses all these things that he knows about her and that he's going to see her later, basically.
He may as well have just been Max Headroom hijacking a broadcast.
Yes.
You know? And we get some solid late-stage Chevy Chase physical humor.
Yes, we do.
That being that, I think Chevy was in like one shot of the entire actual thing. Yeah.
So,
but, what are you going to do?
So Tom consoles Hal, saying, when I want to get a girl's attention, I would just put on some cologne. But Hal says, this girl's special. And he's like, I understand that. But then Tom's interrupted by his cameraman that says they were taping Channel 10 last night. And Chad Simmons is now taking credit for the one to discover that the snowstorm was happening.
For being the guy who figured it out first.
Yeah. And that pisses Tom off. He goes and starts chucking snowballs at a billboard. They pull him away. And Hal thinks that it was a success for what he did, but then Chuck and Claire ride by on his Ski-Doo, and he realizes that Claire is somewhat into him because she smiles at him as they ride past.
Yeah, and Chuck, of course, her the boyfriend who is supposed to be the ex, who is just a total Chad energy.
And this is, of course, when they play the Laz, There She Goes, as Claire rides past.
There she goes.
So we cut back to Nat and Chet and Wayne, who are putting ketchup on Wayne, who is laying in the middle of the road.
They're setting a trap by making it look like there's a maimed child in the middle of the road.
They're putting ketchup on him and just streaks.
But it's I would call it ribbons.
Ribbons, yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it. You know how it's not, they weren't squirting a puddle.
Yeah.
It's thatches.
Yeah.
So he looks like a potato pancake.
So Snowplowman drives up and he's ironically eating French fries as this happens.
I would say he was unironically
eating French fries.
I mean, because he was just eating them.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was eating them to prove a point.
That's true. So he gets out, he's eating the fries.
Coincidentally eating
So he walks up to Wayne and doesn't miss a beat and just starts dipping the fries in the ketchup, just knowing immediately what it is.
I wanted him to be like, once he tasted it, I was hoping for child blood.
So he continues to dip the fries. Meanwhile, Nat and Chet sneak into the snowplow, but Chet also starts painting on the pinup that Roger has on his darling Clementine. And Nat sneaks into the snowplow. Trudy starts...
Well, they don't just paint the pinup. They basically make it look like me. They give it like a handlebar mustache and a goatee and circled glasses. Thanks, Snow Day. Thanks.
So Nat enters the plow, gets found out by Trudy, who starts alerting Roger. He's like, hey, get out of my plow. And Nat steps out holding Trudy and basically says that we're going to take her and we want the second snow day. They run off, and that's when Snowplowman decides to kidnap Wayne. So now he kidnaps a child.
And how? With gusto.
So we cut to a skating rink where we meet Mr. Zellweger, played by Iggy Pop. Yes, kids, Iggy Pop playing a skating rink owner who's in a neck brace, and he is putting everyone to sleep on the ice playing Al Martino records. We even see a kid who falls asleep while skating and goes over a wall.
That was probably one of my favorite little touches in the movie.
Yeah.
Is the fact that it's like the guy who's running the snow rink is just playing slow ballads.
Yes.
And then we literally see that kid he's literally like asleep rolling, and he just rolls slides and slides and then just goes right over the banister.
Over the side.
So funny. So
Lane decides that she's going to help Hal. She pulls away Mr. Zellweger by saying that somebody in the woman's bathroom put Al Martina bites the big one on that, pulls him away. He gets out of the booth. Hal rushes into the booth, dedicates a song to Claire, which gets everybody amped up, and I believe it was I think it was a ska song again.
Well, yeah, because the moment there's snow, the ska music starts, and it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. So Claire gets a song dedicated to her. Chuck rushes the window, tells Hal that he's so dead. Back in the plow, Wayne tries to reason with the snowplow man, but Roger's giving him no response. Wayne goes to open the door, and the handle comes off in his hand, and he goes, I'm toast. So then we go to the Branson residence, where Laura meets Snowplow Man at the door, and he tells him that he's trying to find Natalie because he's offering free plow rides.
Yeah, he tries to make it sound like the daughter is getting something, a free ride in the plow, which actually would be kind of bitching if
would be fun.
If you'd had a huge snowstorm, it'd be kind of bitching to get to ride in the plow.
It absolutely would.
But he's really just lying to a parent in order to get access to her child.
And Wayne is in the cab.
And he's spelling help
on
the window.
And he's like, no, Wayne's finished up his plow ride. Oh, the kids love to toot the horn.
They sure love to toot the horn.
So then that's when Randy rushes in covered in blue paint. He runs out. Laura chases after him, and Natalie calls the house. Snowplowman goes in, and they decide that they're going to do a trade for Trudy and Wayne, and they agree to meet at a rendezvous. We cut back to the diner where Lane meets Bill, who's building a fry house, not unlike Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Well, I built you a little fry house.
And she tells Bill that she's been sent by Hal, who is at the football stadium building a shrine to Claire, because she needs to grab her to bring it to see the shrine. And that's when she goes to the table to confront Claire's friends and trying to they're telling Claire that, like, if you date this guy, it's going to be the end of your social career. Lane sweeps in and tries to explain that Hal's such a sweet guy, tells this really sweet story about how he gave mouth to mouth to a baby chick. And
I love this movie.
It's so good. So then she convinces Claire to go with her, and they decide that from that point that they're going to go over to the stadium. But back at the plow, Nat and Snowplowman argue about who's going to get first, because as Snowplowman rides up, Wayne is tied to the front of the snowplow.
It is very witness me. Yeah. It's very Mad Max beyond Snow Globe.
It really is. So Nat breaks down, letting Trudy loose. Snowplowman releases Wayne. He drives off, and Nat basically thinks that she's been defeated. They're not going to get the second snow day, so her and the gang go off, and Wayne, of course, is like, great plan, guys. Excellent. Terrific.
I mean, he looks all like frostbitten, too.
Yeah. So back at the football field, Hal shows off his shrine to Claire, which is the pattern of a whale that he has somehow made in the snow in a matter of time.
Somehow? You mean by digging with his shovel?
But how? How that quick?
We don't know how long it took, though.
The snow day is only one day.
There are 24 hours in a day.
That's
Dave's like, I'm tired of your conspiracy theories.
That's the one part that takes me out of this movie.
It's not that hard to make the line art of a friggin' whale.
So Claire tells him that she likes zebras, and Hal reveals, what about your bracelet, revealing that he has the bracelet. Just at this point, Chuck and his cronies roll up, catching him with the bracelet. He confronts Hal, like, what are you doing with this? And Hal, while Chuck is talking to Claire, sneaks off and steals the ski-doo and starts a snowmobile chase with them.
A snowmobile chase worthy of James Bond.
Or Die Hard 2.
And, that is a really good one.
40 to 50 setups, by the way. 40 to 50 camera setups. They had the Ski-Doo was pulling the two Ski-Doos. They had the key grip driving the operator. The camera guy was on the back of it. The director was on the side, and somebody else. There were 4 people on the snowmobile pulling the other 2 snowmobiles.
I mean, that sounds normal to me, honestly. Yeah. But, I mean, it's definitely intricate.
Yeah.
And also, it's worth mentioning, I have ridden Ski-Doos. And recently I got to rent a Ski-Doo, and I was literally told by the owner of the shop, just have at it.
Yeah.
She told me she'd gotten that bad boy up to 105 once on the lake.
Jeez.
So I chickened out at about 92.
Man, that thing goes fast.
Most Ski-Doos go fast as cars. So when they're having this chase, all I could think was I'm sure there are a lot of Ski-Doos that top off at 50 or 60. Still really fast. So after a few minutes of the chasing, Chuck crashes the Ski-Doo into a soccer net. Hal rides off. We cut to Tom, who is covering an ice sculpture competition, and he comes across a kid who has sculpted Chad Simmons. He tries to get the chisel from him. There's a huge struggle that happens live on the TV, and the kid ends up kicking over the ice sculpture, shattering it entirely. Then we cut back to the house as Laura prepares for a meeting. Randy has snuck outside, and this is when we have one of the cutest scenes where she tries to get him back in the house. They have a really cute little snowball fight, and that's when she loses her phone, and that's basically the end of the C story, because she decides that she's going to play with her son. Yeah. So you think Chevy got a cool $1 million for being in this?
I had to. I feel like he had
he's barely in it, and I think he got just straight up $1 million.
Yeah. So Natalie returns Meltar, one of the figures, to the spot, and that is when Henrique decided that Natalie is losing her mind because the action figure comes to life.
No, it's not when I decided. It was when the American Medical Association decided she was a schizophrenic. The little girl's like, well, I guess it's all over. And then the doll is just like, wait, little Natalie, you should be killing small animals. No, like there's this whole scene where they all stop motion animated come to life. The
all
dolls,
5 of them.
To give her advice.
Yeah.
It is funny.
Yeah.
But as she's just watching them, her eyes are all just alight. And all I could think was like, this is a sign of a serious mental health problem.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
This little girl is in a crisis right this second.
So Meltar convinces her not to give up and to unite the kids to defeat Snowplowman together. So she takes Meltar and goes off again. Hal is ambushed by Lane, who tells him tough break with Claire, and he still thinks that it's destiny, and Lane's clearly fed up with this and tells her to leave him alone, that she doesn't want to hear about the super bracelet anymore. He chases after her, asking her why she's so upset, and that's when she turns around, planting a kiss on him, stating that he said it was a snow day and anything could happen.
Wait, you mean to tell me the slightly tomboyish best friend was in love with him all along?
It's crazy, right?
I will say, yeah, guys, it's 2000. That's a freaking trope.
That's a huge trope.
But I will say I felt like they did it in a cute way.
They really did.
And they did the thing where she kept trying to help him get the girl he wanted, even though she liked him. They really pushed this whole snow day is the day to try whatever thing you don't
Anything
usually
can
try.
happen, the impossible, all
yeah,
that.
which I wish I could remember. I watched that David Duchovny movie that Meg Ryan directed.
Oh God, I can't remember the title of it.
But it takes place on leap year.
Yeah.
On leap day. And that's one of the big gags in that movie is like that leap day is the day anything can happen because it's extra. But it just made me think of that a little bit. But no, so it's done pretty well. He gives her a kiss. He returns the kiss a bit.
Yeah.
And then they separate.
Yep.
And then, of course, we go immediately into the all is lost, will they, won't they moment that every screenplay worth its salt should probably have.
So we cut then to Chad Simmons, who is at a spot interviewing a crowd, and Tom confronts him about being the first to call the storm. Chad is trying to be like, no, I know what I'm talking about. Like, you're just second tier. I'm the big guy. And that's when Tom calls him out and says, why don't you explain where snow comes from? And Chad just completely stutters over his words and loses the crowd, and he has to admit in front of everybody that he's a fraud and that Tom was the first one to call the snowstorm, giving Tom his redemption.
Basically revealing that the other weatherman was just a television personality and not a true meteorologist.
Yes. So then we meet Hal, who's back at the pool. He catches Claire doing her dives. Claire invites him up to the high dive as they sit, and you can kind of see that he's a little uneasy. He doesn't know that he didn't think he would get this far. And that's when she asks him, you said anything can happen on a snow day. Is this what you had in mind? She plants a kiss on him, and he says, I that is exactly what I thought would, but it's not feeling how I was supposed to. And he realizes what he put Lane through. He starts going through his mind about all the signs that she was given today.
I love when you have emotions. You use like 8 extra words.
It's moving. Shut up. So Claire tells him that he knows what he has to do. We then see Snowplowman arriving to the final unplowed street that he has not touched yet. And he decides that he's going to give the wheel to Trudy. So the bird flies over and he starts driving with Trudy on the wheel. Natalie then comes out from the side, steps in front of him. He pauses the plow, gets out and tells her, get out of the way. She says that she's not going to. He, comes at her for a little bit and says, you've lost, get over it. And that's when Natalie reveals that she is holding Meltar, and he goes, oh, what's that? And she goes, listen to the wind. And that's when we hear the cry of 1,000 kids who come from all sides of the streets, and they're all holding hockey sticks. They're all ready to rumble, and they all charge at Roger and drag him away. And we next see Snowplowman tied to a caution children playing sign.
Which is a wonderful touch.
Yes.
And they leave him tied to that sign.
Yes.
And I decided to do a little research for the show.
Okay.
The average temperature
oh, no.
in February, let's just call it February.
Okay.
In Syracuse, New York, is a high of 34.
Okay.
And a low of 17.
Oh, my God.
So he died.
He died
because no one came to help him. And then they take the snowplow and they unplow the entire town, thereby guaranteeing no school tomorrow, to which I replied, it would have been faster and easier to just ram the plow through the school
to the school.
Destroy it.
Yes. So,
but I'm not a doctor.
So Snowplowman is left to watch his plow be driven away by 3 miners.
Yes.
And they start unplowing all the streets. Meanwhile, we catch up to Hal, who returns to the rink to speak to Lane, but he is ambushed by Chuck, who throws him around for a little bit, but suddenly the snowplow breaks through an ice wall and puts Chuck into a mound of snow.
Yeah, Chuck lucks out and doesn't get creamed, but instead gets stuck in a big snow block. Again, left for dead.
Left for dead, yes.
I joked that immediately that because he's like all in the snow except one arm in his head. I was like, the warmth the snow's providing, the insulation is going to make him think he'll see the sun again, but he will not.
He will not.
There is so much deep and dangerous assault as we wrap up with one final big moment in the snow day, David.
So Hal thanks Nat for saving him, and Nat unveils that she borrowed Meltar. Hal tells her not to worry, that he belongs to her now, and that to watch out. There's a lot of saving of the world they got to do. He returns to the ice and tells Lane Lane tells him she wants nothing to do with him. So he goes after her, and he slips, faking an injury on the ice. Lane rolls over, and he grabs her legs, pulling her to the ground. They share a kiss. They make up. We see them arrive together, and Tom is now back at the weather station in pants. Randy and Laura are laughing in the snow together. Nate, Chet, and Wayne are happily again driving the snowplow.
Oh, just having a great time committing unspeakable felonies.
And the movie ends as we cut back to Principal Weaver, who has finally returned home. Oh, excuse me.
You left out something really important.
What is that?
The older brother turned to his little sister.
Yes.
And he said, hey, because the next day is going to be snow day. He said, do you have any plans for the snow day tomorrow?
Yes.
Telling us that tomorrow he was going to finally spend that special time with his little sister that he should have all along, because now he's seen what matters. And then we get to that evil principal who did nothing other than want to educate children.
Yep. And so he returns home. He gets behind his door. He shuts it. He turns around laughing, only to immediately start crying as snowballs pelt him inside his home.
Yeah, apparently they're in his house throwing snowballs at him. And in my opinion, probably also stealing the copper wiring right out of the wall. And that
is Snow Day from 2000 Nickelodeon film.
And I have to say, first viewing, it was all the dumb fun of kids' movies that I kind of miss.
Yeah.
I feel like kids, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't watch as many kids' movies as I used to, but I feel like kids' movies aren't as reckless as they once were. They aren't as adult as they once were.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously makes sense, but I feel like there was a time, and Nickelodeon was a major element of this time period.
Yeah.
There was a time period when making entertainment for children was kind of unknown.
Yeah.
So it was about outsider artists who couldn't get work anywhere else would make the cartoons. They would make the TV shows. And this kind of was one of those last feelings of like treating kids kind of like little adults, but not like Harriet the Spy did. Harriet the Spy did it perfectly, but Snow Day did it in a way that was funny and a bit too insane. I mean, the kids literally take over the town.
They really do.
I was joking when they were like, there'll be no snow day. I was like, and tomorrow we take down the power grid and the telephones.
But yeah, that is Snow Day. Final thoughts on this. Like I said, I saw this opening night. I've loved it ever since. This is a Nickelodeon like top tier movie for me. Like I remember watching this movie many times. The cast is great. Everyone, big and small names, work in the movie, but Chris Elliot honestly steals every scene he's in too, though.
Yeah, I would agree.
And also the soundtrack is 2000s AF.
What? What do you mean?
Let's just list a couple artists here, all right? So we've got Smash Mouth, 98 Degrees, LFO, Hoku, My Town, The Hippos, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, not to mention as well Brian Setzer Orchestra, and oh my God, we also have Skylar Fisk, who was a like one-time artist. Man, I love this movie.
I mean, the soundtrack is a massive time capsule.
Yeah. So as we close, would you like to know one of the craziest behind the scenes about Snow Day? Something that actually happened is legit trivia.
Yes, of course.
A real bank heist took place near the filming location, and the felons drove right past the production assistant, who immediately alerted everyone on set. The felons were surprised to see that they were driving through a film set shortly before driving headlong into and becoming hopelessly stuck in a fake snowdrift. The police immediately apprehended the two bumbling crooks, to the amusement of all on set.
That's hilarious. And talk about bad luck. And that was in Vancouver?
That was Alberta.
Alberta.
Yeah. And to give you perspective on the snow, 15,000 bales of hay, plastic kept underneath to keep the ground frozen. They sprayed the trees with 120 foot of foam that they could shoot up in the air. Snow machines were used. They had tower systems that were used that were usually used for water
ski
sewage.
resort. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
and water, and ski resorts. And they took over 200,000 truckloads of snow to get everything set up in the movie.
Oh, I believe that. This is a very snowy movie.
Yeah.
Just the atmosphere alone is really worth watching.
No, it absolutely is. So my final thoughts on Snow Day, this is an absolute rent it. You can find this readily available right now to stream. You can find it readily available to rent. I don't think it has a Blu-ray yet, but you can still find the Paramount DVD pretty cheap on Amazon.
And it's out there in 4K digitally.
Yes, it is.
Which shocked me.
Shocked me too. And I have not seen it yet, but there was in 2022, Nickelodeon did a remake that is a musical.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, I try not to be an old man shaking my hands at the clouds, but like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and Jerry Traynor plays the Snowplowman, who was the brother on iCarly, and he was also Crazy Steve and Drake and Josh, if you remember.
That unfortunately, that was a little
past your time.
past my time there. Yeah,
but no, Snow Day, absolute rent it. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It's a great family film, and like Henrique said too, like this is kind of the kids' movies they really don't make anymore.
8 farts.
8 farts.
There were 8 farts. No, that's not my rating. But there were 8 farts.
There were 8 farts.
There were 8 farts.
All done by Josh Peck.
Only by Fat Kid. LOL, Fat Kid.
So we always like to wrap up the show with a recommendation. I'm going to give another movie that has a bunch of unruly kids that, again, they just...
Well, you didn't say rent it, stream it, or...
Yeah, I did. I said rent it. I said rent it. What?
I don't believe you.
I said rent it.
No, I would also give it a rent it.
Yeah. But if you want a recommendation of another movie where kids are completely crazy and take over the place, I have to recommend Heavyweights from 1995.
Oh, that's a really nice recommendation.
Plump kids are lured into joining a posh fat camp with the promise of quick weight loss and good times, only to find that it is a woodland hellhole run by a psycho ex-fitness instructor played by Ben Stiller, and this movie was also written by Judd Apatow.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
If I had to give a movie with similar vibes, Sleepaway Camp, 1983. No, I'm just kidding.
I was thinking Camp Nowhere as well.
Camp Nowhere would be, no, I do have one.
Okay.
Bushwhacked.
Yes.
That's my recommendation. That's got to be on the show sometime.
Stern could have totally played Snowplowman.
He would have done. I don't think he would have been. I think we would have actually felt bad for him.
That's actually fair.
I think Stern has a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think it's a really fun movie.
Yeah.
And definitely worth watching. Worth paying a couple shekels if you must to check out Snow Day.
Snow Day.
From the heyday of Nickelodeon movies.
2000, baby.
So Davey.
Yes.
Before we get out of here, thanks for introducing me to the movie, by the way. I really did enjoy it.
Absolutely.
I guess it's on Paramount Plus and shit.
Yeah. And shit.
But I also want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been listening and viewing every week. It's been really cool. I've been a lot more jovial today because I've slept. The months that we launched Do You Even Movie were the most sleepless months of my entire life.
They were.
More challenging than when we were doing the Freddy's Nightmares podcast while I was coming off Zoloft.
I remember that. I remember that.
I barely do. But no, a really fun movie. And thank you guys. Just want to remind you, if you like what you see, like us if you're watching on YouTube, share it with a friend who likes movies. Make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Gotten a few.
We've got a couple.
Yep. We could always use more, though.
It does make a big difference, and we're going to be back next week with The Edge.
Yes.
Another must-watch winter film. We're going to do a few must-watch winter films in January, and then in February, it'll strictly be movies that we've made out to.
That's fair. So Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer?
That would be number 1, yes. And then Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer Part 2. That is number 2. Oh, I actually like Henry too, but
he's good.
But no, so please, if you are so kind, leave us a ranking. And if you want to support us directly, the show is very early in its lifespan. And the best way to support us is to go to Patreon. Just go to doyouevenmovie.com, find the Patreon link. doyouevenmovie.com has everything about the show there anyway. But if you sign up for $3 or more, while the video show is free, you get it on Friday.
Yeah.
The Friday before Tuesday's airing. So you get it 4 full days early. And you directly support the show.
Yes.
Makes a big difference. Really appreciate it. So is there anything you got to say, Double D, before we get out of here?
Don't forget to check out our TikTok and Do You Even Movie Pod, also Instagram, and you can also find us on Facebook as well. We have amazing and funny TikToks on there. We've got great clips. Oh, yes, they're fantastic.
Okay.
They're fantastic. But social media, you can find us anywhere, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. Any recommendations as well. If you have another unruly kids movie that maybe we haven't mentioned yet, I'm always down to watch
I really do think we should watch Bushwhacked, because I have a funny story about being with a friend after a horrible breakup, and sitting down on the couch and pulling up Netflix and be like, we're watching Bushwhacked. And she was like, what's that? And I was like, we're watching Bushwhacked.
Yep.
So, but until next week, my friends, make sure you movie. And Dave really liked the Iron Claw, but mostly just the part where the brothers died. Oh, so, which is most of the film. Whoops,
Iron Claw's fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, get out there and see it. But bring tissues.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to be out of theater by the time this airs.
Probably.
But anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you
on Do You Even Movie?